if you are a member of the police, or the Metropolitan Police, or an armed police officer, you should be willing to take on the responsibility that comes with that. You're going to be in the most high pressure situations probably that being a police officer can entail, and you should embrace the responsibility, and you should embrace the extra level of scrutiny that comes with that. You should make sure, you should want to do your job to the highest standard possible, and if you can't handle that, then you probably shouldn't be an armed policeman.
Yeah, you'd want to think that you're employing people with such excellent judgment that they know when to pull a trigger and when not to pull a trigger. Like the Mark Duggan thing.
Yep.
Arguably, I don't think that person should have had a gun.
No.
Because he got into a high pressure situation, panicked and pulled the trigger and took someone's life away from them. I just don't think that if you're not, you got to be some special kind of human. For example, I would not enroll myself in this. I'd go, do you know what, gang? Not for me.
Drop a comment if you think Ava should be given a gun.
Yeah.
Just on the podcast, just to see what happens.
Yeah.
Just a loaded gun in the middle of the table.
Yeah. I'd hand mine in straight away. I'd be like, do you know what, guys? There's got to be someone better. Have you tried Wayne?
He's free.
Ava, you made a good point earlier about Northern Ireland in connection to this.
Yeah, I had to get that one signed off by Sean. I got scared to say that earlier, but now I feel emboldened.
Okay.
Well, earlier this year and last year, Johnny Mercer, Veterans Minister, was very concerned because there was some historical proceedings against some members of the British Army for how they acted in Northern Ireland. And, you know, there was some chat about how they might have gone in there and gone way above and beyond what they should have been doing while over there to police the situation. And some people were killed. And there was questions over whether those army members should now be tried in court over whether they used due force or whether they went above and beyond. I believe that's now been quashed. I don't think they're going to do that. There's going to be protections for veterans. But along that same side, I mean, I think that, yeah, if you went over there and you were acting with impunity in Northern Ireland, you should be tried for that. In the same way that if you get given a gun by the Met and go overboard, you should be tried.
That's it, isn't it? Do we say, because you were operating for the British state, you're allowed to commit war crimes? You know, or we're saying that there's an expiry date on war crimes, that we will accept the shooting of unarmed civilians because you're just old now.
Yeah.
We'll let you get away with it.
Because if they were tried at the time, you wouldn't have an old man shuffling into court with his walking stick and people feel sorry for that old man. But whereas if you see like a young guy who has shot a child in the back, that's a much clearer case, isn't it?
Well, it's like in Afghanistan. My cousin did 4 terms in Afghanistan, and it's like you know you know when to shoot and when not to shoot. It's quite a clear distinction. I can't say anything else he would say, but it does. But it does lend itself to that point.
But I think it's another thing about just like the responsibility. You're being entrusted with the violence of the state. You're being trusted with the state's monopoly on violence, and you should, if you're being entrusted with that, you should be happy to bear the responsibility and the scrutiny of it. You shouldn't balk at any level of scrutiny at all. It's like when it's maybe a bit different, but you know when politicians conflate criticism with abuse, when they say like, "Oh, I've been abused on Twitter," and it's actually just like, no, you've been criticised for your actions. You should, as a member of Parliament, you should be happy to be scrutinised for your actions because they're important. What you do is important, and you shouldn't just, no one in any kind of public life or office or being entrusted with any instrument of state power should shy away from any level of scrutiny.
Yeah, if you are a doctor that has killed a patient because you administered way too much, I don't know,
morphine,
insulin, a bit too close to the close to something that happened recently. But if you are that doctor, then yeah, obviously the family's going to go, you need to be held to account. Just because you're a doctor and you're allowed to administer medicine, it doesn't mean that you get to administer whatever medicine you like.
I think Harold Shipman would disagree, actually.
Yeah, don't speak his name. Take his name out your mouth.
I guess the thing to say as well is, you know, surely the police should be fucking gassed about this. Like, They literally live for arresting people. Right? This is what they do.
Good day at work.
Yeah, no, murder charge, buzzing.
Why do you keep bringing it back there? I keep going. Let's scoot right out of there. Let's keep going, and you're like, do you know
Let's
what?
get them, boys.
Because okay, to talk in the abstract. Then let's say the
Mum's
police
made us talk in the abstract.
let's say.
Yeah. On the Patreon, we'll have a.
Let's say, just contempt of court. We'll just collapse the trial on the
Patreon
Patreon.
protects you from all court proceedings.
If the police were to successfully arrest someone, and then the CPS decided to bring a murder charge against someone, I don't know, in a gang, let's say, who they suspected of stabbing someone, they would celebrate that fact. They would be pleased. They'd be like, yes, this is the intended outcome. This is justice. This is law enforcement in action.
With our KPIs, they would scream in celebration.
Yes, and also, Ollie, in that case, they would have arrested a black person. So that's why they would have been so pleased.
You are reading between the lines of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I thought it really needed to be said.
That I think it's quite telling the way the police officers reacted is they do view policing as a zero-sum game.
Mm-hmm.
They view it as the police versus the public, or as Ava rightly points out, in London anyway, the police versus black people. And for what's happened to have happened, they're basically saying like, no, that's not what we signed up for.
Yeah.
Revealing.
Let's not go too deep into it, but it is interesting how every single time, or most times, something really abhorrent comes about with the Met Police. It's like, oh God, and they've done it to another black person. How does this keep happening?
Yeah.
It must just be such an accident. It's actually insane.
Yeah, they're the unluckiest police force in Britain.
Unluckiest police force. How mad is it that whole report came out last year that was like, this group of people is like the most racist group of people, sexist I've ever known. You need to do something about this. And everyone was like, oh yeah, well, it's all right. Keep giving them guns.
I'm obviously the Casey Report expert.
You are the resident Casey Report expert.
Because I'm the only one who watched that proceedings. That select committee with Baroness Casey talking about the report. It was like, there were some quite funny bits where the minister, one of the members of the committee said to Baroness Casey, well, it's just, one bad apple can't affect the whole Metropolitan Police. And Baroness Casey was like, no, thousands of bad apples. Bad barrel of apples. You put a good apple in there, that turns into a terrible apple. And the apple becomes racist, homophobic, sexist, not just to people who aren't apples, but to apples as well.
The apple's got its core out.
Yeah. They're wormy apples.
They should have put you in charge of comms for the report. You'd have smashed that.
It's just me holding an Excel bully penned up to the gills.
In Sam Smith's outfits.
Get people talking, for
Yeah.
sure.
There's like 800 of them that are under investigation for sexual harassment and domestic abuse.
Jesus Christ.
I was saying...
That's too many. I'm going to go on record and say that's too many. How would you two like to respond? This is the only podcast that's willing to say that's too many.
For me, it depends how many apples there are.
What's the proportion? Yeah, very important. Great question, Ava.
Should we get like Strongbow on the phone and should we ask them, how many apples need to be bad in your barrel before you go, no cider from these?
The Met should take lessons from breweries.
Yeah.
and cider companies.
Yeah. If Thatchers look at it and they go, not
Gross.
good.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yucky
Bad cider.
barrel.
Then we ACAB.